My name is Javi Trujillo, and I am the Flash fan. And you're watching another episode of Up to Speed with Wally West. Today, for episode 7, we're going to talk The Flash, issue 6. Before we get into that, you may notice the backdrop's a little bit different behind me. I've taken the Flash stuff that was on this wall. I'm going to move it to the other adjacent wall, but I haven't done that yet. Wanted to rehang some things, reposition the art, and I've got some new pieces I wanted to incorporate. So whenever I get to that, I'll probably flip the camera angle and you'll see that wall. But for now, this is the James Bond wall. So sorry that the background is not up to speed, as it were. Flash 17 was the most recent issue that just came out on the stands. Wally's in Scutaris, while another Wally is in the JLU Watchtower. Got some new Flash figures that just came out. There's a Justice League Task Force video game figure. I'll probably do a review on it for the channel. I've had it for a month and a half now. It's really good. If you like 90s Wally West, this is like a 32-bit version of that figure. Or was it 16? And they just announced a Walter West Dark Flash is up for pre-order. That's pretty deep into Wade's run, towards the end of Mark Wade's run. And this mystery Flash shows up after Wally disappears, and we'll get to it in 150 episodes or whatever. But I never would have thought we'd see a figure like that. And one's going to be coming out, so I'm excited whenever that pre-order finally ships. But that's enough about the news. We need to catch up with Wally. So, Flash Facts. The Flash number 6 was released August 4th, 1987 per Mike's Amazing World of Comics, cover dated November 1987. Credits are as follows. Mike Barron, writer, Jackson Geis, penciler, Larry Malstead, inker, Steve Haney, letterer, Shelley Eber, colorist, Mike Gold, editor. And of course, Wally West was created by John Broome and Carmine Infantino. So getting you up to speed. This issue, pause while I do that. This issue is Supernature. So picking up from last issue's cliffhanger, the Flash races over to the giant oil storage tank that is now on fire, thanks to Speed Demon slamming into it whilst carrying his estranged wife, Dr. Tina McGee. Flash finds Tina, who looks like she's on fire. I mean, she looks like she's on fire. Scoops her up and rushes her back to the stately West Manor. So, Wally points out the oil depot was miles away, calling out my complaint last time of why the oil refinery is so close to his mansion. Look, I'm just going to roll with it. It's comics. It's moving the plot along. They don't spend a lot of time on it. We really shouldn't either. I'm just being nitpicky. Tina comes to, stating Jerry dropped her when he hit something and disappeared. So she looks messed up, but it's just remnants of when he beat her in the last issue. So that battle-damaged Tina look is really from the beginning of issue 5, not from the conclusion of issue 5. Tina and Wally discuss what went wrong with Jerry and come to the conclusion that he needs therapy. Yeah, I'd say Jerry needs therapy. Wally reaches out to the Titans for help, and I appreciate seeing him go to his friends once again. This isn't the first time it's happened, but there's a bit of humor in how Baron brings them in, and having them show up at the hotel in their private plane that Gar, aka Beast Boy, tries to valet. Like, it's a nice little injection of humor to try and balance out the heaviness of like the whole spousal abuse thing, and you know. So I appreciated seeing the Titans here, and Wally, having basically grown up since 10 years old as a hero with the Teen Titans. He mentions friends later in the Wade run, but like we never really see him. Like, as far as we know, really the only friends this kid has, this 20-year-old has, are other superheroes. So I like that They get brought in. They're not the stars of the book or even co-leads, but they're supporting cast in that kind of capacity. So we've seen Cyborg. Now we've got Changeling, I think he was at this point, and Wonder Girl. So Wally brings them up to speed. And Donna chastises him about jealous husband syndrome. Again, I can only imagine what fans made of this back in 1987. And we get a little indication of it from the letters pages, but I mean, Wally as he is at this moment is so far from Barry Allen and like the wholesome, clean-cut image he gave off for most of his career. I mean, the man rocked a crew cut and a bow tie to work. And, Wade will have him later say just how square Barry was. And Wally is, he's more down to earth as much as you can be when you can run the speed of sound. And clumsy, he makes mistakes. And that's kind of why you grow to love him. So Tina comes to the conclusion that Jerry is obsessed with his boss, Conrad Bortz. Wally decides to go to Bortz's estate outside of Syracuse in case Speed Demon heads there next. So while the Titans have their own business to attend to, not that Wally wants them to assist further anyways, he leaves Tina at Titan's Tower for her own protection. Which, I mean, it makes sense, because if he's already showed up at Wally's home, like, where else is he going to hide her? At least the Titans theoretically have better security than Wally's manor. So Tina wants Wally to promise that he won't hurt Jerry, and he gives her this curt, I already have. Do you still love him? And you really feel his 20-year-old insecurity here, especially when he asks Tina if she loves him, and he proclaims his love. And Geis's pencils are perfect in this scene, and the avoiding glance that Tina has as she dodges the issue, like, the art sells the scene, like it speaks volumes. I love how dramatic the Flash's arrival is when he arrives at Bortz's place, and how Baron undercuts it with some comedy when Wally is done in by the rain and Bortz's safeguards. The first person narration is used so well here, and it's so key to the book's success overall, in my opinion. It's just one of those things that it really helps you get into the narrative, because it feels like when you're reading it to yourself, it feels like you're saying it, right? So with Wally trapped, I love how Baron plays into his impatience. And again, like, the narration here just makes everything work. And then when he does escape and confronts Bortz, like, we get some more backstory on Jerry, building up to where the story's going in the next few issues. Like these things go, plans go awry, and it seems like Speed Demon's attack is imminent. And another bit of humor creeps in as the Flash tries to take out the window, only to bounce off it due to it being made out of bulletproof mylar. And of course, that doesn't stop Speed Demon from crashing through it on the opposite side. Wally weakened it. Yeah, that's it. Wally weakened the window. Say that 5 times fast. Wally weakened the window. Also, Geis gives us, like, yet another example of Flash breaking out of the panel and then into the gutter of the art pages. And I mean, I dig it. This is a character that at this point, breaks the sound barrier. That's where he's at speed-wise. So I like seeing that get translated in other ways too, no matter his speed at the moment, Then Geis treats us to a magnificent splash page of Speed Demon. Is slightly more monstrous looking than before. And he really seems to tower over Flash too. Like, he's really imposing. And Flash looks like legit scared. And this is a guy who debuted in his series Facing an Immortal. And you can see, like, the matchup with Speed Demon, it rattles him just a little bit. And I don't know if I talked about this last episode, but having like Speed Demon in the yellow, he's not the Reverse Flash. He doesn't have the whole lightning motif in his costume, but it feels like at this point, this is like Wally's Professor Zoom at this point, before Professor Zoom becomes Wally's Professor Zoom. And then Zoom becomes Wally's Professor Zoom. We'll get there eventually, slowly but surely. So Speed Demon calls Bortz a bastard, which I can't imagine that word being used a lot in a newsstand comic in the 1980s. I also get the feeling that Bortz is a bit of a liar too, when he says they opposed experiments on humans. Like, I don't know if that was the intent, Baron's intent, but I don't know, there's something shifty about that guy. Don't trust. I don't know if I'm remembering something from later issues or if this is all we see of him, but I don't trust this guy. We get another bit on the unbreakable glass before a very smug-looking Flash tells Speed Demon that Tina doesn't want to see him anymore. And that's all he needed to goad Speed Demon and focus his attention. So the fight doesn't last long, but I appreciate that we see something reminiscent of the issue's cover, and Flash lands a few good haymakers at super speed. This cover. Which, combined with all the internal organ failure that Jerry's having, it takes Speed Demon down for the count. So then Jerry gets admitted to University Hospital Syracuse. He's pretty messed up, but it's more from the drugs and the implants than being the beating that the Flash gave him. So Tina's a little resistant at first to him getting care, but relents. She's all over the place on that, and I can't blame her. I can't hold it against her. Like, her feelings towards Jerry are obviously very, very complicated. You know, and a lot of that comes from his drug use. So, yeah. Afterwards, Dr. Bortz checks in with Wally and has an idea of how they can save Jerry. He details how there's a scientist named Orlov at the Pulaski Institute in Siberia and wants Wally to get him out. So I guess you could say that Wally's maturity is starting to break through as he is putting Tina's wishes for Jerry to live above his own safety. I'm going to say he's starting to mature just a little bit. So the issue closes out at the aforementioned Pulaski Institute, where we get introduced to Red Trinity, a trio of Soviet super speedsters. And I just want to give props right now to letterer Steve Haney for how he makes like the Russians dialogue look. The way he letters it is, you can tell it's he tries to give it like a foreign language feel to it in the characters. So that pretty much is it for this issue. There's not a whole lot of note to this issue's letters page. You open it up here because this isn't something that's included on digital, and I recently got the William Messner Loeb's Greg LaRocque omnibus. I think it was for Christmas, and that has some letters pages, but not all of them. Just a couple key ones. First off the bat, we get a letter that's highlighted in gold at the top. My entry for the new letters column is Fleet Sheet. Great job on a fresh new look for both Wally West and the Flash, writes Kevin Saunders from California. Dear Kevin, Mike Gold, editor, writes, Thanks for your comments about our fresh new look, which you are helping us to achieve with your winning entry in our letter column contest. That's right, you won. Now it's our turn to say great job. We chose Fleet Sheet out of hundreds of entries, maybe thousands. We're still trying to dig out, but rest assured we read each and every one, and that's no lie. Let's see, Friedrich Sorensen of Tonder, Denmark, came in with a close second entry, Flashlights. Good enough to warrant a printed congratulations. Flashbacks and Scarlet Letters were two others in close contention, and those were names almost everyone included on their submission list. So if you submitted one of those, treat yourself nice today for having sent in a good entry. So Kevin will be sending you that coveted Flash poster autographed personally by the Flash team, an advanced photocopy of Doom Patrol number 1 and 2. Yeah, I know Doom Patrol #1 is out already, but Kevin's getting it a month before the rest of the world. Nice going. So you can see at the top, we got the fleet sheet, and I'm pretty sure it changes at some point. But otherwise, not a whole lot of things worth calling out. The next letter that says, Mike, please acknowledge Ken Bruzenak as having designed the Russian-looking letters in Flash #6 when you do the letters page. Steve Haney. Well, I just gave him props, but Haney now is giving props to the real guy who designed it. And they say, okay, Steve, you got it. Attention, humanity. Ken Bruzenak designed the Russian-looking letters in Flash #6. Let's hear it for Ken. And let's hear it for me for not remembering to correct my notes before saying it out loud. But we're going to leave that in. So yeah, not a lot of comments from the editor on a lot of the letters. So yeah, we're just going to move on. It seems like a lot of people like it though. Next month, Flash meets the Red Brigade as we get things ready for the event of the hour, Millennium. Stay tuned. So that is going to do it for the Flash #6. Pretty solid entry. A lot of good action. Some good hidden character beats in there that I liked seeing, like I mentioned before with Wally growing up. Just a little bit, but still at the same time being so very, very immature with, just being head over heels in love with Tina. And he really doesn't know what he's talking about. Even when I read this comic when I was like 20, 21, I was like, no, you don't love her, Wally. And it might be at that point, by the time I read this issue, like he was already with Linda. And I think just knowing Tina from the show first, the John Wesley Ship show first, before reading her in these comics, it just kind of added to the whole, like, I know they're not meant to be thing. But just a solid issue I felt throughout. Like, I really enjoyed rereading it. There's a good threat to the Flash. Geist does some stellar work here. And yeah, I'm kind of excited to get to the next arc, because once again, like, it's not as ingrained as some later issues are with me. I know I liked it at the time. I'm kind of curious to see if that holds up. And we meet at least one character that's going to have an impact in the early 90s. I was going to say late 80s, but really it's like early 90s. She comes back, and then we'll see her again off and on in the Wade run. Maybe even in the Flash Rebirth. So good stuff ahead. Lots of good Wally stuff coming out. Just got the new Mark Waid Volume 2 Omnibus this week, and just that looks gorgeous. So yeah, there's like another Flash Deluxe Edition coming out, I think this month too, the Grant Morrison, Mark Miller one, which kind of fills in the gaps between the Waid stuff when he took a brief sabbatical. So, and of course, Flash Comics, we've got a DC Sonic mashup coming soon, and Flash is going to be teamed with Sonic on that. So, lots of good things coming up. I hope you'll be there with us. Thanks for watching, and now you are up to speed with Wally West. Take care.